wanted to ask this question because it's easy for me to say as a Spartan, okay, if Michigan goes 9-3 and you don't beat MSU, you don't beat OSU, and you don't beat Penn State, are you willing to forgive Harbaugh and kind of do a pass? Meaning, we thought the team was going to be 6-6, 7-5. We thought we were garbage. I don't know any Michigan fan who was calling up and saying 9-3. Now, we've talked about this. He's getting a lot out of this team. They play incredibly disciplined football. They do not make mistakes. They don't turn it over. They primarily don't take penalties. I don't love the philosophy of it. It doesn't make sense to have Josh Gaddis as your OC and have Harbaugh pretending he's playing at Stanford 15 years ago. But besides all of it, you're 5-0. Now, if you lose games like tomorrow night, well, that's where we're going to – this question becomes null and void. I said to start the year, Michigan needed to get to 8 and beat one of MSU or OSU, and I think we all agreed it would have to be beat MSU. But let's say they go 9-3, but they don't beat MSU and they don't beat OSU. Are you able to look at it and go, hey, we stabilized the program. We feel like the team played with heart. We feel like they played with effort. We feel like they bought in versus last year they quit. You call it whatever you want. They quit in games. For the first time under Jim Harbaugh, they have an identity. Maybe you don't agree with the identity, but they have one. And we got rid of Don Brown. Mike McDonald has come in. It's been good so far. Obviously, he will be tested more as he moves forward. But, I want to know where Michigan fan is. I can say it as a State fan. I mean, obviously, I would bleed to beat Michigan. I hate their guts. But I can say that Mel Tucker had a unbelievably successful year regardless of beating Michigan October 30th. Right. I mean, if MSU in year 2, after being non-functional largely the last couple years, and in the COVID season it was a debacle, if MSU goes 8-4, 9-3, and that happens to mean you lose to Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State, what am I going to say? Nothing. But that doesn't mean Wolverines feel that way in year 7 with their head coach. So I wanted to ask the question.
So you hit upon two of the three topics that I was going to say. David, am I allowed to speak upon this? Because, I graduated from Michigan State. But if you're Michigan, here's the thing. Here's why that may not be a bad idea, even if it happens. Yes, you want to win. You want to go 12-0. But for the first time since Rich Rodriguez, we know what Michigan's offense is. We know what they do.
Identity.
They run the ball. It's a throwback, but you know what? Wisconsin has won this way for decades. Now, this year's Wisconsin, it's different. They've lost their identity. But normally, when you play Wisconsin, you're going to get a steady dose of run the ball, play action pass. Now, they have to incorporate the play action pass at Michigan. I think Mike McDonald has turned this defense into something. Okay? You got a unicorn out there in Aiden Hutchinson. But I think what may be able to accept if this were to happen, you got to have a quarterback at the end of the season. That was my thing last year with Mel Tucker. I don't care how the season goes, but by the end of the season, I know who's going to be the quarterback going into next year. If you can do those three things, yeah, it would suck. You don't want to go 9-3, but that would tell me it took a while, but I think Harbaugh has found his stride, and I don't think you're going to have the people out there saying, well, he's got to go. You got to fire him.
Oh, and I've been on the, get rid of Harbaugh train for a while. I think if he gets them to 9-3, yeah, losing some of the, quote, big games, that's going to be a problem. It always will be. But to me, considering what they've been and considering last year not winning a home game, losing to MSU in embarrassing fashion, I have a hard time saying that 9-3, with the situation being what it is somehow I'm supposed to scream and yell. No, it's not going to be warm and fuzzies where people are thrilled and they go, oh, I love losing to Ohio State, Michigan State, and Penn State. But I also don't think it's the other way where it's pitchforks and torches. I just don't. But maybe I'm not reading the fan base enough.
Because, I wonder if you're still going to be calling for Harbaugh's head and saying, you know what, this is all nice. This is great. We're 5-0. We may be 6-0 tomorrow. But if you lose to Michigan State, especially if you lose to Ohio State, I don't want to hear anything.
Hey,
it's like Kenny. Like, Kenny, can you enjoy this season if you don't beat Alabama? No, can't.
So you mentioned Wisconsin, too, and I just kind of went down the wormhole. You know what Wisconsin's yards per carry is this year?
Like, what, 2.6?
No, 3.7 a carry. At their peak, whether it's Ron Dane, whether it's Jonathan Taylor, whether it's Melvin Gordon, anywhere between 6 and 7.5.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk – that is unheard of.
They've lost their way. And it was funny because Michigan turned into Wisconsin, and Wisconsin kind of turned into Michigan, a team where you're out there scratching your head saying, I don't know what's going on. But I'm looking at this, and, yeah, I don't know if it's simply you got to beat your rivals in order for Harbaugh, in order to keep the support, or do you look at this and say he's doing something? I think we got something here. We got something that we can build upon because, David, last year at the end of the season, when Michigan State played Penn State, they inserted Peyton Thorne. And I was like, you know what? There's your quarterback.
Ring the bell, Rico. Because when you said this, spot on. My thinking is I never want to lose to MSU. Never want to lose to Ohio State. But if you can guarantee me at the end, if we lose those games and we lose to Penn State, but I have a quarterback, I know for sure JJ's it, or I know for sure Cade is it. Because I don't want to go into next season still questioning what is happening at quarterback. I just can't do that another year.
If you establish your quarterback going 9-3, you're going to get 2 bites at the apple the next 2 years to win the Big Ten.
Correct. One other caveat, though. Don't get blown out by Ohio State this year, though, in the loss. Don't get 62-39, whatever the quarterback is.
We need your people, David. 248-539-9797. It's a very straight-up question, and only you can answer it. What is acceptable here on out? What gets Harbaugh the forgiveness from you as a fan? What is it? For some of you, I know, you're going to call up screaming and yelling about how he's got to beat OSU. I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm telling you as an outsider. I can separate my absolute blood hatred of you, and I can go, okay, what would be a good season for a guy who maybe should have lost his job last year and whose team and program were a total train wreck last year? Man, bouncing back to a 9-win season and finding your quarterback of the future, that's a success. It just is. But do the rivalries and his lack of success in them weigh heavy enough that for the fan base, it's not enough? I want to hear from you guys on it. That's not trolling. That's not smarm. That's not making fun of anything. I'm asking you a legitimate question.
It is.
Now, hey, understand. You go out and lose tomorrow night. Well, now
you take this off the table.
Well, it's off the table because you're going to have to beat one of the 3 to get 9 wins. I do believe there's a difference between 8-4 and 9-3, and it's more than just one game because when you look at schedules, largely teams play 3 tough games a year.
Right.
If you go 9-3, you can get there if you slip up, but you still beat someone really good. For Michigan, who are the really good teams they're going to face? It's Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan State. Like, that's not disrespect. It's that Washington and Wisconsin are going to struggle to make a bowl. Mm-hmm. For Michigan State, it's the same thing. Who are the really good teams we're going to face? It's you guys, it's Penn State, it's Ohio State. Miami is not good.
It looks good on paper.
Right, and that's okay, and you want to win the game. But it's you have to look at, all right, eventually, if my program's going to be a power and we're going to be respected, you're going to play a 3-game season.
And I would say for Michigan State, you can call it a cop-out, you have to be respectable in those 3 games. Tucker has to show, I can trade punches with you in the center of the ring. You may knock me out eventually, but I'm just not going to lay down and take it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for those 3 games, I mean, we've already hit house money.
It's just so
you're
early.
1 win away from being bowl eligible.
Right. It's just so early for Tuck, and I want to emphasize this. We thought 6-6 for MSU. I think many of us, there was a consensus of 7-5 or 8-4 for Michigan. Yeah. Okay. We are starting out at such a lower place because Tucker's rebuilding a program from smoldering ash. Like, I think it's okay for me to have a little bit lower of a bar in a one-year bubble for MSU. You guys know me. I'll hold my program to the highest standard. I have to give Tucker a little bit of time here.
Now, the thing is, I think come next year, he's raising the bar this year.